What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of Comeback Couples Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Jennison, with
Kendra Jennison.
And
Boonch.
So today, my topic is, well, I'm just going to share a little story. Yesterday, we went to the apple barn.
We did.
All right, that's pretty fun, huh?
I love it.
Yeah. What was your favorite part?
Just watching the kids climb the trees, pick the apples. Perfect fall day. It was just literally
Fall
perfect.
day, 86.
86, perfect, crisp fall day.
Which is awesome, right? 86 and sunny in Wisconsin on October 1st. Like, it doesn't get much better than that.
It really was a perfect day. It was October 1st. It was like the kickoff to fall.
Yep.
And I loved it.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. You said something interesting there. You said, watching the kids climb in the trees, and then I look around and I didn't see anyone else's families climbing in the trees.
Yeah, there's either two reasons for that.
And that's exactly what I want to talk about today, because I'm going to share a story, but go ahead and give me your reasons.
I was going to say one reason, because our kids are jerks and they don't listen.
I don't think
Or two, because they're the only kids that I saw that were practically physically fit enough to climb the trees.
And that's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't think they're jerks. I mean, they're literally just doing what
Little kids are supposed to do.
You're supposed to climb trees and pick
the back
apples at the top. Of course, you don't want the one on the ground. You want to get the one at the tippy top because no worms are in it. Right? That's what they think anyways.
Bailey sure did get to the top.
She did. So I had a moment yesterday. You guys were standing in line to go into the little store there, and which, by the way, why was there such a line to go in that store?
There's so many breakable, handmade items in there. They only allow a certain amount of people in there. And it's very small in there.
I've never, I was not really willing to wait in that line.
Yeah.
But I had a moment, I actually stacked about it this morning in my Freedom F, where it was like, I don't know, I turned and you guys were laughing at me because I'm sitting at a table at a picnic bench.
Old people.
Yeah, it's a bunch of old people. I was hanging out with them, talking to them, and
it's cute.
Just laughing and watching. Those people were actually pretty cool. Those two dudes for sure drove Corvettes.
Definitely.
A couple of white dudes just for sure showed up there driving their Corvettes. But I was sitting there talking to them, and I was taking a look at people. Because I spent the whole time, the only time I was on the phone was when it kept trying to call people from my pocket. So I put it
in my purse.
Yeah, I gave it to you in the purse. So I hung out the whole time, just chilling, sweating, watching, lifting, and I'm on carnivore right now. So I'm not even eating couldn't even eat an apple, right? No. So, but I was just watching people with their families. And this is the whole thing about, this is the whole message that I had to deliver. And it was cool because for a minute, as I was sitting there inside of my Freedom F, paying attention, just being still while you guys were doing your thing, I was watching people, and they were like loving each other and like taking selfies, and kids chasing each other around and sitting with families. And it was just really cool to be able to sit and notice the love that people had for one another. Which I think is really one of the purposes of life, right? Really just to experience love and to have that. But then as I sat and I watched it, it was a brief, man. I was only sitting there for like 20 minutes. But then inside of those 20 minutes, there was like 2 or 3 minutes. I looked at that, maybe less, maybe more, not sure. And then I looked at it for what it was, which was difficult for me to see, which is a bunch of people making the shittiest choices in their life.
Yep. And
like morbidly obese.
Yep.
People. And then it really kind of pissed me off.
It is the true epidemic of our nation.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Like I know there's this war, this war that I wage on evil and alcohol and, trying to bring God to men and against drugs. But the reality is like the war is actually on the freedom of choices and goodwill and our free will and dominion, and watching these people. And I'm not even saying that they were like eating obsessively, like in the heat. Like honestly, I didn't even see people stuffing their faces. That's not what I'm talking about. I was looking at them and I was like, how the fuck do you allow yourself to get to this point?
Yep.
And how do you allow your family, like if you are a man and like you got pencil arms and a big giant bed, and I hopefully this hurts to some of you guys. Like
it should be, if we do a podcast that's so brutally honest, besides our alcohol ones or whatever, this one should slap, and it will slap the majority of people in the United States right across the freaking face, because there's a really good chance that if you're listening to this, statistically speaking, you are overweight, your kids are overweight, and your wife is overweight.
Yeah. And like, I love food.
It's not even about food. I mean, it trust me, and you know this, I'm very, very passionate about this topic because it is something that I wholeheartedly believe in to my core that, so obviously food plays a massive role. The food in the United States.
I knew you'd get talking about it.
And I don't even need to go down like any of the rabbit holes to like make my point. But the point is, we don't have food. We have food-like products. We have become a nation, United States nation, where everything is so convenient and people have become so addicted to the convenience that they don't even realize and they don't even care that they're part of the problem. And you know what's even worse? Back in the 70s and 80s, if you were overweight and you looked around, you felt shameful about it because you were one of the only ones that was overweight. Now in the United States, it is so common to be overweight and obese that people don't even have second thoughts about being overweight or obese because everyone around them is obese and overweight. We stand out like a sore thumb at the Apple Barn because and I'm not kidding, we're one of the only families that were fit. So people look and they're like, oh, wow. And you know, I don't know what they think. It has nothing to do with me, what they think about.
It's irrelevant about us.
It's irrelevant. Yeah, thank you. But as men, as women, and for your children to not be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, holy shit, something has to change, and you continuously allow that to happen, you are the worst type of human on the planet because you are squandering your fucking life that you have been given. And that should make you sick. If you are an overweight adult and you're making shitty choices and then you have overweight children and you know how fucking hard your life is to be overweight and how many problems you have and then you allow that to happen to your children, you are literally the worst human on the planet, and I don't give a shit what anybody has to say about that. You know better, you do better. And that's the bottom fucking line, because there's one thing that I am very passionate about is you don't fuck with the kids in any way, shape, or form. And you doing that and allowing that, that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
And it's become so common that people think it's normal, and it's not. It's absolutely not.
It's funny you said that about in the 70s and 80s, because looking back now, I look at like in the 70s, I was born in 1980, right? But like in the 70s, people were fit, shorty shorts, like girls were fit and pretty, guys were like lean and thin, and the 80s, like the same shit. The 90s, I don't remember much about the 90s, but I do remember like, you know, I had these things where my dad and even my brother would call me fat all the time. My whole fucking life, you know, I wasn't even a little fat. Looking back at it right now, I just wasn't as lean as they were, and would build these like complexes to go to the swimming pool, want to take my shirt off, and like, you know, built this thing in my life. And then you're right, looking back now, like I see people just walking around, just letting it flow, and cool, great for you if that's how you want to go. But like, man, you look gross. Yeah. And maybe that's hard to hear.
It should be hard to hear, because it should be so fucking hard to hear that you look at yourself in the mirror and you are like filled with shame about the way that you cannot even carry your own body, that you must do something about it. That's how I feel.
Yeah. And you came from a point for like what the families are doing. When I was sitting there looking at it, and obviously our company of IAMACOMEBACK, I was like, dude, America, USA needs a fucking comeback.
Wholeheartedly.
Like it needs a comeback. And IAMACOMEBACK is not just eventually it will be more than just alcohol. Right now I'm going to own the alcohol domain, but talking about these other things, fucking fat, you know, overweight, obese, pornography, drugs, like all these different things that it can help. But if you look at some evil archery, it's like there's this fucking thing in the, I don't even know where it comes from, but like society as a whole is being put into a container in this bucket to just be so incredibly fucking soft.
It's embarrassing.
I mean, it really is.
It is. And then you wonder, I mean, and we could go so many different directions with
Here's
this.
The thing, and why I can actually speak about and say this in full confidence to the motherfuckers out there is like, because I was called fat my whole fucking life.
You know what?
And I wasn't even fat. So like for me I'm not fat shaming anybody. I know what and I fucking worked very hard to maintain my life. So like I'm both sides of these things. Like,
I'm sorry,
it's a fucking choice.
You don't even need to society has become so soft in not a good way that us calling out obese individuals, because majority of people are obese, and your children, majority of children are headed towards the directions where there are going to be more obese kids than fit kids. And we are getting labeled as fat shamers. No. It's so twisted to even try and label it as that, because we are not. We are in a spot where it has nothing to do with us, whether you want to live your life fat or not. We know that. Do I care if I don't, because I know that it doesn't directly affect me, right? But what I'm saying,
I do care,
is that, well, that's where I was going to go with this, is I shouldn't care more about people being fit than they do. And where I was going to say earlier, I think I was going to go, I was going to say is just the complacency, the being soft, the how easy it is to get distracted and to be entertained, and the list goes on. And well, I forget what I was going to say about it. You had said something, but either way, it's not fat shaming, it's calling out facts. There is in no way, shape, or form that you are healthy if you are a fat and obese individual. Those words should hurt you. They should cut you to your core, because you are the live, living example that you are setting for your children. More kids are going to die of a fucking heart attack in this next coming generation than their parents and their parents and their parents.
Yeah.
Like, that is messed up. You as an adult have the honor and the privilege to guide your children through life, and especially in the best, most healthy way that you can. You don't have to be perfect. That's not what I would ever insinuate. It's damn near impossible. You wouldn't want to live your life that way even if you could, right? It's not, but that is your job as a parent. And I think so many parents get, especially now, soft generation, they don't want to tell their kids no, because, I don't want to, little Susie, she asked for a popsicle, and I don't want to tell her no, she can't have a popsicle, because then I'm going to, she's going to have a fat complex about why I can't have a popsicle. No, you're being the parent. Your daughter already had a treat today. Guess what? That's what it is. A treat. Something you have once in a while, not every fucking day. And then you wonder why your daughter can't run the mile in school, or now certain physical education curriculum has to be cut because 90% of the kids can't do it. Heaven forbid we should hold the parents and the children to a standard instead of lowering the standard. Like, it is messed up beyond belief. And I feel very passionately about this.
Yeah, that's why I picked this topic, so I didn't have to talk that much.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
just let you talk.
Let me roll.
Because I got a little tired today.
And it is in this society. I don't want to say it is completely the parents' fault, in the sense that the food options that we have to choose from are very shitty. The food,
it boils down to the education.
It boils down to the education, and it can feel overwhelming to try and tackle, like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how corrupt and how poisonous and how I could go. Like I said, I don't need to go down all these rabbit holes that I am so very educated about. However, the greatest place to start and the easiest place to start is Whole Foods. When you are feeding your family and your children, and especially if you come from a financial situation where money is essentially no option, because eating healthier is way more expensive, and by they I mean the elitists in the government have it set up that way, because we don't want strong men. We want people weak. We want them fat. We want them diseased. But whatever.
But I'll pause right there for a second, then give right back to you. But even that's a fucking choice. And what you go with my thing, every dude, every woman has the opportunity to get up and to work a little bit harder.
Yes.
This is fucking America that was not built by pussies. This was built by fucking farmers who are fighting for liberty and justice for all, like, freedom.
Wholeheartedly.
And like, so they can work harder.
But what I was going to go down is the whole food route. It is expensive to some degree, but what you feed your children, essentially majority of the time, should be solid one ingredient foods. An apple is an apple. An apple is a snack. Chicken is chicken. A potato is potato. Rice is rice. Like, children When you are only presenting children specifically with these options of food, guess what? They're gonna eat it. But when you continuously buy cookies and your pantry is filled with Ho-Hos or chips or whatever other things what do you think a kid is gonna eat? Of course they're gonna eat that. Even for me, I literally bought a bag of Chex Mix the other day as like something special for the kids. It was gone in one day. One day.
Who ate it? Not me.
Jade, Phoenix, and Bailey. They're like, oh, hell yeah, mom bought Chex Mix. Wow, anyways. But what happens is, and again, it kind of boils down all the way back to the beginning of this, is yes, you have a choice. And as a man specifically, because once again, I put so much emphasis on the man being the leader and the financial provider for his family in most cases, if you see that your family or the way that society is headed for, oh shit, if I want to feed my family well and I want my kids to be a part of physical education standard or whatever, I better work my fucking ass off to make sure that I can provide that for them. I better make sure that I'm educating them. And these are the choices you can make, right? Mm-hmm. Because I'll tell you what's really, really sad is, and I don't need to go back and forth to like the 70s or 80s, but it was harder to stand out and to be elite in the 70s and 80s because everybody was physically fit. They were smart. They were sharp. Now,
they had pride. They
had pride in it. There was a competitive edge where it was just like, hell yeah, oh my God, like this guy is just as good as me or just as fit as me. Now, it makes me sad and kind of pitiful for our kids when I watch them and I'm like, well, shit, Jade, you've been working, or Phoenix, Jade, Bailey, you guys have been working your ass off and this is your competition. Like, that's not really competition at all.
Dana White has some clip somewhere where he talks about like, in this world, it's not hard to be a fucking savage, right? Against it. If you are just willing to commit, you will run motherfuckers over because this world is full of a bunch of fucking pussies. And we're watching it happen day in and out. Now, I'm going to come from you're talking about like from parenting and putting the food on the table and the right choices, which I'll give it back to you. But where I sit, why I care about it is because I do have fears and worries inside this world that, you know, we're getting so fucking soft, so fucking weak in such a place that we're going to get ran over by some other countries or get like, it's literally something I think about every day. Of course. To go arm in arm with my neighbors. I mean, luckily for me, my neighbors.
We got an awesome neighbor.
Got an awesome neighbor, right? He's, you know, him and I on the street and within our little thing there, you know, with even Kurt and all these different people, like we've got a small army of people within a mile of each other. But like, you know, when you go toe to toe, arm to arm, lockstep with somebody, you want to know that they got your back. And I was looking around that fucking place and I'm like, these are the men that if something went down right now, I would have to fucking fight to save their life. If someone just decided to do it like...
And you want to know what's even more fucked up is you would have to be the man that would step up and save their life. But the weak men, you want to know what they would be screaming? Oh, thank God, Mark is here to save me. Instead of fucking rising to be a fucking man, they cower like a freaking pussy and expect another man to fight and to save them. And that is wrong. And that is exactly the direction that we're headed.
And we're not even headed there. We're there, here. Right? It's already there. It's just, so for my thing, when I look at it, I'm like, man, and I'm in the business of waking men up. Waking men up. They've shut themselves off through alcohol, but through a lot of these different things. And the truth is, a lot of my guys come in and their health isn't great. They're overweight. They're out of shape. But almost every single one of them completely turns it around because they were like drivers. Inside of there, inherently, they knew like, man, I'm not showing up the way that I want to show up. It's funny we're having this conversation because I just did another video today on the fitness F. But when I'm looking around at these people, I'm like, dude, I really give a fuck. And then I ask myself, why would I even care about them?
Yep.
Right? Like, and I know that sounds mean. No. And then I get in this place where I'm like, dude, here you sit in 1 minute, you're like watching the love that everyone's had, but then you're judging and you're like in this place. And I'm like, well, fuck, man. What?
Kind of puts you in a conundrum.
It puts me in a place like, was there something wrong with me?
Yeah.
Like, is there really something wrong with me? And I don't think there's anything wrong with me. And to be clear, like I'm old now. I'm 43 years old. I don't have injuries all over the place, but I will fucking die trying to protect my family. I would die to protect somebody that I didn't. I would die to protect one of those little kids whose dad was too drunk to even fucking take them apple picking, or somebody who's at the pool watching their kid. The kid falls in the water. He's too sloppy drunk to pick him up. I'll dive in and get him. Like, it's just who I am and how we operate. And I just watch it. I'm like, damn, this fucking pisses me off.
It's hard not to get upset, especially when you are seeing from a much clearer lens, you know? And I think that's kind of, I would never.
But at the same time, I don't want to like judge them and be better than them. I want to like inspire them somehow.
And that's what I was just going to say. I don't ever want people to think that we're sitting here sitting on a high horse talking about like, oh, you know, because that is not the case. Mark and I are very specifically called individuals to wake people the fuck up. That's it. And that is hard to hear sometimes for people to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, what should I be doing better?
Right. Cause we are the type of individuals.
Extreme ownership about everything.
Especially me.
Especially you.
Everything in my life is my responsibility. Good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. If there's a problem, I caused it. If there's a good thing, I caused it. I don't waver on either side of it. Just, this is me. This is what I need to do. Actually sitting there watching these people yesterday, I came out of it and I'm like, man, I need to do more. I need to be louder. I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
I'm just not doing enough. I'm focused solely on like this alcohol thing, And then I'm like, well, fuck, this is this overwhelming feeling, this overwhelming just chase that I'm going to fight for. Then I'm like, you know what though? That's exactly what America's built on.
Yep.
The idea of freedom. And that's actually what I'm fighting for. And that's what you're fighting for. If you look at it, right? We're waking people up to be free. I believe in my country.
Yep.
I'm not ready to give up and say that I hate when people say that this place sucks. Get the fuck out then.
I would be at the top of that list too to head over to a different country with the current state that we're in.
Yeah, but I'm not ready to do that.
You're not ready. I know.
But you're also not talking bad about it. You're not saying, oh, I'm going to go if this happens. No, you're like, how do we make this better?
No.
I love other countries too. I love Costa Rica. I love certain things, but I love where we're at. There's not a fucking place in this world. I won the jackpot, literally waking up. I won the lottery.
Yeah.
So did you. I tell Phoenix all the time. I tell the girls all the time, you guys won the lottery. Like, we live in this fucking place where opportunity and choices are what this world is built off of. To go all in on your fucking dreams. Do not squander being lazy. Do not squander being a fat fucking pussy, right? These are things that I know that it's harsh to say, but like, this is not fucking rehearsal.
This is literally the reality.
And it is harder to get the weight off or to correct the decisions of drinking too much or fucking pornography or whatever, issues people have. Like, turning this thing around can start today, but it's literally just by making a choice. And when I looked at it sitting there, I'm like, dude, I'm fighting for freedom. I'm fighting for choice. I'm fighting for this thing I can't see. I'm fighting alcohol. I'm fighting. But man, I want to see people fucking fight for themselves.
Yes, I love that. And so do I. And I think that, again, I think it comes, you and I, we get so upset about it because it comes from a place of, why do we care more for other people doing, like, we shouldn't care more than they care, Like, why do I care more about your child and what they're eating than you care? Why do I care more than you do?
And I like to say it's because they're uneducated, they don't understand, and maybe we can fight it by creating education, but that's, there's other people out there that as much as we fight, people are trying to fight against us, but it comes down to your choice. Looking in the mirror and stop fucking lying.
Stop freaking lying.
Like, just stop fucking lying.
Yep.
When I was sitting there, I was just like looking at what we're going to build or what I'm building here. And I'm like, damn, it's so simple, yet so complex because of the way that people make their choices. Like, they decide to live in this life and make it so much fucking harder than it has to be.
I was going to say, I think they decide.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, they really do. The same information that is to each and every one of those people out there is available to them as it is to me, which is available to you. Yep. I chose to listen. I knew something was different. There has to be a better way. This is something I'd like people to understand.
Yes.
There's always a better way. Even in the way that I'm doing things right now, there's always a better fucking way.
Yes.
There's always things we don't know. There's always things we can improve on. It's all like, that is what life is about. It's about expansion.
Yep.
Expansion of the mind, expansion of the soul, expansion of love, expansion of your health, your wellness, your financial. Like, I put that way down there. It's about expansion.
Your life can be so much greater than you ever thought possible. So long as you are willing to do the freaking work.
And you don't listen to the fucking naysayers. Like, you don't listen to other people out there.
No
You don't
way.
listen to the people are, like, what did I read? Like, some cereals, like, in the food pyramid over, like, eggs and sausage or bacon or whatever.
Don't even get started.
I don't even know the food, so I'm uneducated on that. I know that I eat a certain amount of food with numbered, measured, this is what I'm eating, that's how it's going. But, why I say don't listen to the naysayers was because there's people out there that talk so much shit to me every day. Mm-hmm. Like they come at me. I'm going to go back in the alcohol vertical. They come at me. Jordan, my friend Jordan, I was on his podcast the other day, or doing a call for his
group,
and he said, nobody gets fucking hate like Mark Jennison gets hate on the ads. And I thought about that. I've been thinking a lot about that, and it is so true. And if that's the price I got to pay, hatred, bad DMs,
negative
text message, negativity, to make the world a better place by making the impact, I will welcome that all fucking day long. But I'm not going to lie, right? Like seeing that, knowing that out there, it is like an immovable force of darkness and hatred that actually makes me sad.
Yeah.
I sometimes just happen to open up. I don't pay attention, but just somehow it opens up. Maybe it was on my computer or whatever. And I'll get these people that are talking shit. And these are people, and I'm not trying to say I'm better than them or judge them, but in reality is I am. Like I'm like, you put yourself in that position, but you can tell that they're hurt and they're down. And I want to help them, but they're coming at me with this negativity and this rage, and they're completely overweight, and this the way that they carry themselves and this victim fucking mentality, and I'm like, damn, I'm in this moral dilemma. Should I care? Should I not care? Because I actually do fucking care. I actually do care. Motherfuckers are telling me that all I care about is money. All you care about is, all you care about is your ego. You sound pathetic. You're a fucking pussy. Coming from the biggest pussies I ever saw in my life. But I want to say, dude, don't have to be a pussy.
Yeah.
Like, wake the fuck up.
They don't want to hear that from you, though.
But nobody wants to hear it.
It's a slap in the face, and it's a harsh reality, because more people would rather live in denial and in their comfort of blaming other people than to have to look themselves in the mirror and to be like, fuck, I'm the problem. It is so easy to blame and to point the finger and, oh, you're like, you know what I mean? Instead of being like, shit, I've been a piece of shit. I've been squandering my gift as a man. I better rise.
July 27, 2015, I just didn't want to be a fucking scumbag piece of shit anymore. That was it. That was the choice.
You made a choice.
People ask me all the time, how did you do it? They send messages. Well, I no longer wanted to be a fucking loser. If you're done being a loser, then stop. Here's how you do it. You make a choice, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm harsh with my words to myself. That works for me.
Yep.
I've never, my dad is whether the relationship's good or not, one thing I learned from him was like, words don't hurt me.
Yep.
Right? They don't. I'm harsh on myself. They drive me. They motivate me. I will speak to myself in a negative language that's going to fucking inspire change. I know that it's not great, but like it works for me.
It works for you.
It works for me.
Yeah.
I also am learning to speak to myself in a place of love and these other side, but I don't want to come at people on this podcast and like, oh, he's fucking better than her, they're being better than this. But no, man, I just want you to feel the fact that you are in control of your choices, and like you live in the greatest country in the world, period. You have every opportunity at your disposal. You can make the right food choice. You don't have enough money for it, go figure out how to get another job to do. And the truth is this, when you're eating less, you're actually probably going to eat, it's going to be about the same. Because I don't know what it costs to go to McDonald's. 10, 15 bucks for a meal? I don't know.
When's the last time we've ever been there?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I'll know this. If I go to Culver's, because I like to go to Culver's sometimes. If I take the family, it's like fucking $60.
That's insane, yeah.
For like 5 of us. $50-$60. Go out to dinner. So like,
do you know how much groceries I could buy with $50 or $60?
All these pretty fucking cheap.
So cheap. And it's pretty much organic.
And then organic and healthy shit there.
Yeah.
It's not that it's too expensive. I don't believe it. I think you're just too lazy. Because here's what else happens. When you're eating correctly and you're doing the right things, you stop spending money on alcohol. You stop spending money on cigarettes. You stop spending money on maybe you're not shopping the way because you get more discipline and routine. So it's just all balancing out and create a better life. And like, I don't know. We just live in this place where I sometimes wish I didn't have kids.
It is very scary in a lot of ways, right? Like I feel like we have to soldier up our kids and I feel
like I'm a target some days because of the things that I want. Like some days I'm like, wow, I'm wondering if anyone's just going to fucking blast me.
Right. I mean, I fear for that more oftentimes. Yeah.
And then I think about guys like, Andrew Tate and other people that are out there and doing it. And like, I'm like, well, at least I'm not as loud as him, but I want to be.
You want to be, and you should be. The world needs to wake up. And this, again, if for anybody taking away messages on this podcast, this is not coming from a place of hate or we think we're better. Is we freaking care, and we don't want to care more than you care.
Yeah.
And if every single person who ever could listen or takes away like, damn, I care about myself. I care about my kids. I care about my country. I care about whatever. And you wake up every day and you say, I'm going to be the best fucking me I can be. And start with small changes if that's all it takes for you. And then again, you make small changes and again, and then your kids start to see that and then they start to make better. It is a chain reaction and it can happen. The world needs to come back for sure. And it can happen. So long as you fucking look at yourself in the mirror today and say no more.
I'm going to leave it right there for this episode of the Comeback Couples Podcast. That was crystal clear.
It's crystal clear.
I appreciate what you said there. I know I never give you topics on it, but I knew this one would be something that charged you up. It was an interesting thing for me yesterday because it was like love, freedom, judgment, all in this like
and I think
weird place.
And I know we wanted to end it there, but we were at the apple orchard yesterday, a fall Midwest fun activity where we were enjoying ourselves. And I think people think they have to go so far opposite one way. Like, oh, I'm in a health journey. I can't, or I'm trying to do this better. I can't do. You can do both. You can do it. You just don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
small
steps,
just
I guess.
Making better choices.
Better choices.
It's one choice today, one choice tomorrow, one choice the next day, one choice the next day. And eventually before you know it, your whole life has changed. Like there is no, I've said this many times, the greatest gift, the greatest power that we all possess is the ability to choose.
Yep.
You're either going to choose to win or choose to lose, but either way, you're in control of your choices.
I love it.
That's it for today's episode. See you guys next week.
Peace.